There is a moment in every franchise's history when a debate stops being emotional noise and starts becoming unavoidable reality. And that is exactly where the Pittsburgh Steelers find themselves right now. This conversation did not start yesterday, and it did not begin with one bad loss or one disappointing playoff exit. It has been building quietly over years. Underneath winning seasons, underneath division titles, underneath that familiar sense that the Steelers somehow always find a way to stay competitive, no matter what gets thrown at them. But eventually, even resilience stops being enough when the same questions keep resurfacing and the same patterns keep repeating. Mike Tomlin's legacy in Pittsburgh is not simple, and it should not be reduced to lazy extremes. He is neither the flawless leader some portray nor the clueless figure others accuse him of being. What makes this discussion so complicated is that Tomlin has accomplished things that demand respect. He climbed to the top of the franchise win list, matching legends whose names are etched into Steelers history. He guided teams to division crowns time and again. He reached the Super Bowl twice and lifted the Lombardi Trophy once. Those achievements are real, and they matter, especially in a league designed to create parity and chaos at every turn. At the same time, accomplishments do not freeze a coach in time, and past success cannot permanently shield present decisions from scrutiny. One of the defining traits of the Tomlin era has always been the team's response to adversity. When the Steelers looked flat, embarrassed, or counted out, they almost always came roaring back the following week. That edge, that emotional snap, that sense of urgency became a calling card. Time after time, the Steelers would respond with physicality, intensity, and an unmistakable will to impose themselves. Opponents felt it. Fans recognized it. It was not luck, and it was not coincidence. There were seasons when everything went wrong early, when injuries piled up and expectations collapsed, yet somehow the team clawed its way back to respectability. That ability to press the right buttons, to pull something extra out of a roster that seemed outmatched on paper, is rare in professional sports. It speaks to leadership, communication, and credibility inside a locker room. Players believed, they bought it, they responded. That is not a small thing in the National Football League. But leadership fueled primarily by emotion and will has limits, and those limits become painfully clear when the margins shrink. In the regular season, emotional edges can swing games. Home crowds amplify them. Momentum feeds them. One team comes in flat, another comes in desperate, and suddenly the outcome tilts. Pittsburgh has lived off that formula more than once, knocking off opponents who look superior on paper, because the Steelers simply wanted it more that day. The postseason is different. The emotional playing field levels out. Every team is locked in. Every locker room is motivated. Every crowd is loud. When that happens, other factors take over. And that is where the uncomfortable questions start. Talent depth matters. Matchups matter. Schematics matter. Preparation matters. The X and O's stop being background noise and become the main event. This is where the Tomlin era has repeatedly come up short. Not because of a lack of effort, but because effort alone is no longer enough. Roster construction has been a persistent issue. Over time, the pipeline of elite talent slowed. Draft classes failed to consistently produce difference makers at premium positions. Free agency rarely delivered game changers. Trades did not move the needle. Nowhere has this been more damaging than at quarterback, where uncertainty lingered season after season without a clear, long-term answer. In today's NFL, that is not a minor flaw. It is a structural weakness that defines ceilings. On top of that, schematic disadvantage became harder to ignore. Too often, Pittsburgh entered big games reacting instead of dictating. Offensive systems lag behind league trends. Defensive adjustments arrive late or not at all. Opponents seemed to know what was coming, while the Steelers struggled to counter once Plan A failed. These moments were not isolated. They repeated themselves in different stadiums, against different opponents, under different circumstances, yet with familiar outcomes. There is also the question of adaptability. Tomlin's confidence has always been one of his strengths, but confidence can drift into stubbornness when self-evaluation stops. The organization developed a way of doing things, and that identity became a shield against outside ideas. Whether it was game management, replay usage, or staff structure, change often felt reactive instead of proactive. Other teams invested heavily in specialization, analytics, and layered coaching roles. Pittsburgh largely stayed the course, trusting that toughness and culture would bridge the gap. That approach worked until it did not. When execution faltered, the answer stayed the same: play harder. Execute better, win the physical battle. Those messages resonate when talent and scheme are equal. They fall short when opponents are faster, smarter, and better prepared. The margin for error disappears. And emotional leadership alone cannot manufacture solutions. What makes this moment so significant is not one decision or one meeting, but the realization that the same cycle has run its course. The fire, the speeches, the belief, the chest pounding, all of it kept the Steelers competitive for years. It also masked deeper issues that never fully got addressed. Fans felt it, players felt it, the league adjusted around it. This is not about disrespecting the past or dismissing what Tomlin built. It is about recognizing that the league has changed, and success now demands evolution at every level of an organization. Culture still matters, leadership still matters, but they must be paired with innovation, flexibility, and relentless self-scouting. The Steelers reached a point where those elements lagged behind their reputation. Everything that unfolded recently was not sudden. It was the culmination of years of small decisions, missed opportunities, and philosophical rigidity finally colliding with reality. The standard in Pittsburgh has always been excellence, not comfort, and when excellence becomes harder to define, that is when the hardest conversations begin. What comes next is where the Steelers face their most important test, because replacing a head coach is not the same as redefining a football operation. This is not about finding a louder voice, a calmer voice, or a younger face. It is about deciding what kind of organization Pittsburgh wants to be in the modern National Football League. The mistake would be treating this moment as a personality swap, as if everything else can remain untouched and success will simply return on its own. The league has evolved into a space where information, preparation, and specialization shape outcomes just as much as toughness and tradition. The teams that consistently contend are not guessing. They are not relying on feel alone. They are building layers of support around their players and coaches, investing in instruction, development, analytics, and situational mastery. These advantages are not capped by the salary system. They are limited only by willingness and vision. For years, Pittsburgh leaned on continuity as a virtue, and in many ways it was. Stability can protect culture and prevent chaos. But stability without renewal slowly turns into stagnation. Other franchises expanded their coaching staffs, added specialists for passing concepts, route development, game management, and opponent tendencies. They created environments where ideas could collide, evolve, and improve. Meanwhile, the Steelers often appeared to operate with thinner margins for creativity and adjustment. This became especially visible on offense. Communication issues surfaced repeatedly. Route timing broke down. Young players struggled to develop quickly enough. Quarterbacks and receivers looked out of sync at critical moments. These are not effort problems. They are teaching problems. They point to a lack of detailed instruction and layered coaching support, the kind that modern offenses rely on to stay sharp and adaptable. Quarterback development sits at the center of this entire conversation. Without clarity and commitment at that position, everything else becomes reactive. Drafting a quarterback is only the first step. Developing one requires structure, patience, and a clear developmental plan. When a room has multiple quarterbacks with vastly different roles, someone inevitably gets left behind. Missed practice time, limited preseason reps, and a lack of individualized attention can quietly stall progress before it ever becomes visible on game day. Defense, long considered the backbone of the Steelers' identity, faced similar challenges. Talent still flashed, individual players made game-changing plays, but consistency faded. Adjustments did not always arrive fast enough. Opponents exploited matchups that seemed obvious from the outside. When the playoffs arrived, those cracks widened under brighter lights and faster speeds. The hardest part of this transition is emotional. Pittsburgh prides itself on knowing who it is. That identity has been passed down through generations, reinforced by history and success. Letting go of familiar methods feels like betrayal to some, even when results demand it. But honoring tradition does not mean freezing it in place. The most successful eras in Steelers history were built by thinking differently, not by copying what already existed. There was a time when Pittsburgh gained edges by scouting where others refused to look, by trusting instincts that challenged conventional wisdom, by building smarter instead of louder. That mindset created dynasties. It did not wait for permission or validation. It acted decisively and confidently. Somewhere along the way, that edge dulled, replaced by comfort in familiarity and pride in resilience alone. This moment offers a chance to reclaim that identity in a modern form. The next head coach should not be asked to simply motivate better or manage personalities more smoothly. He should be empowered to build systems, surround himself with expertise, and challenge long-held assumptions. That means evaluating everything from practice structure to game day decision-making, from replay strategy to player development pipelines. It also means accepting short-term discomfort for long-term growth. Change brings friction. Mistakes will happen. There will be moments when the new direction feels unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, but clinging to what no longer works guarantees stagnation. The Steelers are not a franchise built to settle for respectable seasons and early exits. Their standard has always been higher, even when meeting it required bold choices. The fan base understands this instinctively. They see the patterns. They feel the frustration of watching the same issues resurface in different uniforms and different years. This is not about impatience. It is about awareness. The league does not pause out of respect for history. It moves forward relentlessly, and those who hesitate get left behind. What matters now is alignment. Ownership, management, coaching, and scouting must share a unified vision of what excellence looks like today, not what it looked like 10 or 20 years ago. That vision should guide every hire, every draft pick, every schematic choice. Without it, even the most talented coach will struggle to overcome institutional inertia. This is the crossroads. Not just for the next season, but for the next decade. The Steelers can choose to rebuild their advantage through innovation and investment, or they can continue relying on pride and grit to close gaps that are growing wider every year. The decision will shape not only wins and losses, but the very identity of the franchise moving forward. Because once this process begins, there is no room left for half measures or familiar shortcuts. Only the willingness to rethink everything that once felt untouchable and decide what truly belongs in the future of Pittsburgh football. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL world is buzzing with whispers that could shake one of its most storied franchises. Sources close to the team suggest that Mike Tomlin, the long-standing and highly respected head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, may be on the verge of making a monumental career decision, one that could see him stepping away from the team that has defined his coaching legacy. While nothing has been officially confirmed, insiders indicate that Tomlin has already communicated his intentions to the Steelers front office, sparking a flurry of speculation about the future direction of the franchise. Tomlin's tenure in Pittsburgh has been marked by remarkable consistency and success. Few coaches in modern NFL history have managed to combine longevity with competitiveness at the highest level, and Tomlin's leadership has been a cornerstone for the Steelers through multiple playoff campaigns. However, rumors now suggest that the coach may be considering new challenges beyond Heinz Field, potentially eyeing opportunities elsewhere or even stepping back from coaching entirely. Fans and analysts alike are dissecting what this could mean for the Steelers. Tomlin's departure would not only leave a void in the coaching staff, but could also trigger a ripple effect throughout the roster as players and coordinators adjust to an entirely new vision. Questions abound about who could step into the formidable shoes of a coach who has become synonymous with Pittsburgh football, and whether the team will look internally for continuity or pursue a bold external candidate. The timing of this rumored decision has only fueled speculation. Some insiders hint that internal discussions between Tomlin and management have been ongoing for months, pointing to a carefully considered plan rather than a sudden impulse. The Steelers organization, known for its tradition and stability, faces a pivotal moment, balancing respect for a legendary figure with the practical need to secure its competitive future. While the football world waits for official word, the chatter surrounding Tomlin's potential exit has ignited intense debate. Could this be the end of an era in Pittsburgh, or is it merely a negotiating tactic designed to shape the team's off-season moves? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: Mike Tomlin's decision, if confirmed, would mark one of the most seismic shifts in recent NFL coaching history. Fans will be watching closely, bracing for what could be a defining chapter in the story of the Steelers. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.